Well, the event was attended by about 50 to 60 people, all different, walks of life and age groups. And I think the importance of Rudy Giuliani's visit to the Central Valley is the fact that people are paying attention to what goes on here. I think we've seen in elections in the past where a lot of them have been decided because of the Central Valley vote. And the growth in this valley has been phenomenal in the last few years, and these candidates are recognizing it. I can't remember in my lifetime when we've had so many presidential candidates looking to come to Modesto or Turlock or Sacramento and one after the other. I think Rudy Giuliani's presence here meant a lot for our valley. I mean, he's a well-known figure. He's done a lot for New York, and he brought that message to the Central Valley. I think he was. People were honored to actually see him. A lot of people went there because they were impressed by what he did for New York, not only in the September 11th disaster, but also when he became mayor of New York. It was a disaster. The town was falling apart, and when he was finished, it's a very nice city today. And he brought a message of hope, and he was very positive in his remarks. His biggest thing he talked about was optimism. How he's an optimist. When people say you can't do something, he's optimistic to think that yes, it can be done. I think in Valley, people who live in the Valley are a lot like that. There's a lot of pioneers here, people who have built a lot of family businesses here, from the Gallows to the Fosters to the many businesses we have in just Modesto, Turlock, Fresno areas, for example. And so Rudy's comments were very well received. He made a very good case for immigration, why it probably may not happen today the way it's written, because the public, he says, basically wants to see those borders protected. And then we'll deal with how we're going to let the immigrants work here on visas or however we have to do that. It was a very fascinating speech. People were kind of glued to him for a long time. And he talked a while. He talked for like 20 minutes, I would guess. So talked so long that he talked the whole time of the dinner was supposed to be served, and then when he left, people ate. But I think it's amazing for the Central Valley that we're getting candidates of this caliber, and I'm sure we're going to see more Republicans and many more Democrats now come to the Valley as well. We've had some substantial candidates in the past, but not as many who are running for office. We've seen people here, I think, who have been already elected, whether they're president or senators or whatever, and they come to our valley and they're here. But actually, candidates running for office, we haven't seen that so much. And to have, Rudy Giuliani here along with John McCain in the same week, within 2 days of each other, is pretty phenomenal. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think his description, his immigration position, and his description to a bunch of farmers who were there who want immigration to happen, the whole reform to happen, he was very optimistic about someday it coming together. But he gave a good interpretation of what exactly is happening in Washington that I've never heard. I thought that was very interesting. He basically said that the public wants our borders protected, and the law has to say that. And the way it's written now, and I haven't read the whole law, but it's pretty complicated now with all the amendments that they have in it. And he basically says until you protect the borders, you're never going to get the workers to be able to work here for agriculture, for restaurants, for whatever else, unless the public's assured that the borders are protected. And the way the bill's written, according to him, they aren't. But he gave a very eloquent description of what it means. And you hear all these shows, whether they're right wing or left wing or whatever, and you don't get the real story. And he explained it perfectly to where, I know that a couple of farmers are there, and they didn't like the message that we probably aren't going to see reform in the near future, but they understood what he said. And I think he's a great communicator. And I was impressed. I haven't really endorsed any candidate yet. They asked me to MC the event, and I was willing to do that. And I'm glad I did, because I think he is a candidate for the Republicans, if they're smart enough to elect him, to give the Democrats a big run for their money. The big question is, will Republicans elect him in the primary?